Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chioma of Chioma Stitches. So today I'm going to be teaching you guys how I achieve this beautiful gown I'm wearing. It's a ruched gown, and yep, so you can wear it as a long gown, or you can pull the ropes to get any desired length you want and to style it as much as you want. So when you pull off the ropes and you get the much of the ruched effect, as you can see. So stay tuned to the end of the video to learn how I achieve this. If this is your first time joining us, congratulations, thank you, and please do not forget to subscribe and please share this video so that we can have more people in our community to help this community grow, and so we can keep creating more content for you guys. I love you guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Okay, alright guys, let's get into making this ruched gown. So this gown, I want to make it a long gown with a long sleeve, and so to achieve this, I will have to draft the front, that's the top part of the dress, and so there isn't much. I'm going to be drafting the back and the front on this same paper. Now because it is very stretchy fabric, and you will not have to be adding too much allowance or around it, so the half length I'm working with is 17. I'm just going to be marking 17. The shoulder I am working with is 7.5. So I have 7.5 and I'm marking it all the way. Now to get the armhole of my first you're going to come down by 1 inch for shoulder slanting, and then from there you can come down for the armhole. The armhole, you can divide your bust into 6 and add 1.5 to it. When I do that, I usually get 7.3 from my own, but because this fabric is stretchy and a little bit stretchy on both ways, and I want this dress to really be tight on my body, like to hug me, so for that reason, instead of using 7.3 from my shoulder line down, I'm going to be using, say, 6.8. I'm using 6.8. I'm trying to tighten my armhole. That is why instead of using, so this 6.8 is my bust, 35 inches divided by 6 plus 1 inch, instead of adding 1.5 inch. Okay, so I have 6.8 inches. I'm going to connect this line to the 6.8 inches. So for this neckline, because this dress is going to be stretchy and I don't want to put a zip at the back, I'm going to put in the zip on the shoulder. So for my neckline, I'm using 2.9 on both sides, 2.9, and for the back piece, I'm going to be coming down by half an inch. So I'm just going to use my hand to connect it. Like I said, I'm using the same pattern for both the front and the back. Okay, so and then for the front neckline, I'm going to be coming down by 3 inches. So I can use my curved rule to connect this line. Now, and this is our shoulder slanting. Okay, now from this place, my shoulder to my bust area is 10 inches. I'm just for the waist, shoulder to the waist. I have my shoulder to my underbust to be 13.5, and this we're using this as the waistline. So this is the underbust, and then here is the waist. Okay, now that for the neckline, for the armhole, to finish off the armhole, I'm going to be covering the armhole by coming up by 3 inches from this armhole line. I'm going to come up by 3 inches, and then I'll come in here because I want this dress to be tight and comfortable in my body. I'm going to come in by 0.75, and from the 0.75 I will connect it to the shoulder slanting, and then I will use my armhole ruler to create the armhole. Okay, now I'm going to impute my measurements. My bust divided by 4 is 8.7. I'm just going to be using the exact 8.7 without adding any allowance. So when I'm cutting it, I'm going to use exact measurements. My underbust is 27 inches. So 27 inches divided by 4 give me 6.75. So 6.75, I'm just going to be using 6.8, and because this dress is very stretchy, I will be using the same measurements for both the waist area. So I'm going to be using the same 6.8 for my waist because the fabric is very stretchy. Okay, I don't want it to have any kind of bulginess, so I'm going to be connecting this to the bust. So this is our measurement. This is my measurement that I'm going to be using to sew this dress. I'm just going to cut it out. I am going to be using this small piece of pattern paper as a kind of guide to cut out the down part of the dress, not like it's a full length, but a guide to get it. Since I'm only using this small pattern piece as a guide to cut out the down part, I'm going to be using it to cut out the hip measurement because the fabric is stretchy, so that it will not stress me when I'm cutting it. So from my shoulder to my hip area is 24 inches. I'm going to be marking out 24 inches since our half length is 17 inches. Okay, so I'm going to just trace out the 24 inches and mark it all around. Alright, so this is my hip and here is my waist, and my hip measurement is 42 inches. 42 divided by 4 will be 10.5 inches. So even though this fabric is stretchy, I am going to be using the 10.5 inches so that the dress will not be too tight. Now if you are cutting a very long ruched dress like the one I'm making, you will not have to make it too pencil. If you make it too pencil, when you are it's going to be very difficult for you to walk from point A to point B unless you are using a lot of muscle to walk. So we're going to be marking out the waist area, and then the down part of the dress, I'm only going to be reducing it like 1 inch difference from the hip. So when I mark out the hip as 10.5, I'm going to be marking the down part as 9.5, and our waist measurement is 28 inches divided by 4, which is 70 inches. So I'm connecting the waist to the hip. I'll just rule down the measurement to the rest of the pattern, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So now I'm going to be placing the pieces of the patterns on top of the fabric, and I'm going to be cutting them out by placing pins to hold them in place. See, the fabric is very stretchy. Please note that. Use pins to hold it in place. So I said I'm going to be cutting the front and the back piece together, since the back piece does not have any sewing allowance, and the pattern for both of them is basically the same. So I'm going to be cutting out the half an inch for the neckline for the back piece first, and I will now go ahead and cut out the whole pattern of the dress, adding only half an inch for joining the yoke part to the down part of the dress. Cutting out the back piece, and I'm also going to be cutting out a small piece of fabric for turning the neckline of the back piece. That's our facing piece, and I'm using a stretchy fabric as well to cut out this facing piece. So we have our back piece complete right now. I'm going to take out the pins. So here is the back piece, and I'm just going to open it so I can place the facing piece on top of it to show us how we're going to be sewing the neckline. Okay, and look at it, it's stretching on this side, and like I said, when you're cutting it, you cut it on the part that is the stretchiest. So to cut the front piece, I'm also going to be cutting out the neckline for the front, since we've already taken out the back piece. Now the pattern, we can now use it for the front and cut out the front piece, and then also use it to cut out our facing for the front piece as well. So here our pattern paper and our pattern pieces are all complete. So I'm going to go ahead and sew the neckline the way I just showed you, and now it's time to cut the down part. So I'm trying to fold this fabric and noting where the stretchy part of the fabric is, so that part will be placed as the horizontal part of our measurement. Okay, so now the full length we are cutting is 55 inches. Our half length, that's what the one we have already cut out from the yoke, is 17 inches. Now when you subtract 17 inches from 55 inches, you're going to be getting 38 inches. But now I'm going to be cutting, instead of cutting this down part to be 38 inches, I'm going to be cutting it at 41 inches, and I'm going to be adding half an inch for joining the yoke to the skirt part at the top when I'm cutting it. Now this is because even if you want to wear this dress as a long gown, you can also do a little bit of ruched effect by pulling it a little to gather it. Okay, so I'm pinning it all around so I can use the same pattern to cut out the back piece, because the back piece is exactly the same as the front piece, since there are no zip allowance on the back. So I've cut out the two pieces I need, that's the front and the back
piece for this our gown, and they are both exactly the same thing, and the difference between the down part and the hip part is just 1 inch, like I said, so that we will not need too much muscle to be able to move from point A to point B. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the sleeve using the leftover fabric.
So I've placed the pattern of the sleeve on top of the fabric. I'm just going to be tracing it out, and this pattern, I drafted it my exact sleeve measurement, where it to be covered like a bodycon kind of dress sleeve. So, and I only added like 0.75 inch as sewing allowance, and this sewing allowance I don't even need it because this fabric is quite very stretchy, but I'm going to be cutting it using this allowance, and I'm going to be taking out this 0.75 inch or even 1 inch when I'm joining the sleeve. Okay, this is for the comfort. And for the pattern on how I drafted the sleeve, I'm going to be leaving the description box. I'm going to be leaving the link in the description box, so please go ahead and check it out, and I guarantee you when you are done watching it, you'll be able to draft your own sleeve. And this is to reduce the length of this video so that the video will not be too long. Okay, so I'm now going to go ahead and cut it out, and then place the cut out piece on this other one and cut out this other part as well. I'm going to open it up so that I can cut out the difference between the front and the back part of the sleeve. As you can see, this is the front part and this is the back, and the front is a bit steeper, than that of the back. So because of the difference we cut out here, so I'm going to be opening it up so I can take out that difference as well.
Also note that our fabric is very stretchy on both sides, which means it will affect the length of the sleeve.
Looking at it now, you will see the difference here is obvious. I'm just going to take it out. I'm obviously going to keep this sleeve for future purposes because that is one of the specs of using pattern drafting. Okay, anytime you need it, so long as it's the same person you are sewing for, you just bring it out and use it again. So I'm going to be indicating that this is the front part of this sleeve, to avoid mixing it up when I will start joining. So the part I have marked is going to be the front of the sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to take this and keep it aside. Now for the front piece of this is the skirt part, and so this is the skirt part of the gown. And like I said, there will be no zip on the back part. The zip is going to be coming at the shoulder. So for this now, the one I want to use as the front piece is this one, and this is because I've not opened it already, because both of them are the same thing. So I'm just going to take out the pattern paper. So the ruched effect is going to be, I want to be placing the ruched effect on the right side of the skirt, which will be this side. Oh, sorry, on the left side of the skirt. It's going to be on the left side, so I'm going to be putting it somewhere around here, on the side, not in the middle, on the side of the skirt. That is where the ruched effect is going to be coming in.
So I have these quarter pieces of a satin fabric that I'm going to be using to create the bias piece, and the rope that we're going to be using to create the ruched effect. The full length of our skirt here, is 41 inches. I'm going to be making the bias piece 43 inches, so that when I use half an inch to hem the edge, it will come back to 41 inches. So I'm going to make the width of the rope 1.5 inches and the width of the bias 3 inches. So I'm marking out the 1.5 inch for the rope, and I'm marking 2 for the rope, and then I'm marking out the 3 inches for the bias piece as well.
So 21.5 is 43 inches. So I'm cutting it out from here. So for this one, I'm going to be using as the bias that I'm going to be using to create the channel for the ruched effect. I am going to go ahead and fold here. I'm going to hem here with half an inch twice. I'm going to hem it here and hem the end as well, and then create a rope out of this before I will now come and show us how we attach it to the bodice. So while we're at that, now I'm going to be taking the yoke, that's the top part of this gown. I'm going to be taking it and go and fold in. I'm going to use this facing piece to go and sew the neckline, and then we'll come back and start joining the other parts. Okay guys, so see, I have sewn the zip, the
the zip to this side. I thought it was recording, it wasn't recording. So I placed the zipper on one of the shoulder and I sewed it first, and then I'm going to be taking the lining piece. I'm going to take this one and place it on top of it. That's the lining piece that was supposed to be used to turn over the neckline. I'm going to be using it, placing it on it, and I'm going to top stitch it so that we'll conceal it where we have concealed this one here. Okay, so I thought it was recording. It wasn't recording when I was doing that. I had to just point that out to us. So this is the rope. I've made a rope, so I'm going to be using a loop turner to turn it inside out, because I left opening here. Now how you use a loop turner is you put it, pass it through this like so, pass it into whatever you want to turn inside out, and pick the end like so, close it up, because the loop turner has a hook that you can open and close. So when you hook it inside, you can now start pulling it through. So you're going to pull it all the way until it comes out from here, and that will take me a little bit of time because of the length of this. So I'm going to be doing it off camera, but that's what I'm going to be using to turn it inside out. So but for this one, and then this is the bias piece. I've hemmed the edges, like I mentioned. I've hemmed the edges, so I'm going to be putting it, sewing it on the body of the front piece where we're going to do the ruched effect, the ruched effect. Okay, so now this is the zip that I have sewn. As you can see, I've sewn the zip. See the inside, I have to conceal there. Okay, so the zip works. Okay, and then now I will have to complete the sewing of this the shoulders. Since we have already attached zip on one side, then this other side I'm going to go ahead and close it, and I've joined the neckline and I've top stitched it. I have to iron it, and when I'm ironing it, I'm going to be putting stay inside to keep it laying down perfectly and flat like so. So there will be stay inside. I'm going to put an stay when I iron it. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew the shoulder and conceal it. Now the next thing we're going to start doing is attaching the body of the body to the skirt part. Okay, so let's start with this is the one I want to use for the front piece. Even though I did not mark out, I've not marked out. Okay, let me mark out where I am going to be placing this bias piece, so that we can start with the bias piece. Okay, now I want this to be on the left side of the dress, and when you open it, it will be the left side. So this is the bias piece, and like I said, we have to make the bias piece the length of the skirt part. Okay, now this bias piece, I am going to sew it like so. It is supposed to come up this way, the knit part, but because of the rough edges, I'm going to start like this at the middle here. That's the quarter of the skirt hole measurement. That's the middle of the half. Okay, I am going to place this in the middle, and so I'm going to go ahead and sew with quarter of an inch all the way. I'm going to sew it all the way down to the end. When I'm done, I will open it up and sew it again. So let me just pin it down and go and sew it, and then bring it back to show us what I have sewn. So this is how I've placed it. I'm just going to go ahead and sew a straight line on that side where I pinned all the way to the end. So here is the bias piece. I've sewn the first line. As you can see, I just sewed it inside. See, I sewed it on one line, and then I ironed it down. After sewing it, I ironed it and folded in the other side. This piece I've not sewn this other side, so I ironed it down. So I'm going to go ahead, just like I did for here, I'm going to top stitch it all the way down. I'm just going to make a straight stitch all the way down to the end. When I get to the end, I will now sew a straight stitch in the middle of it. Sew another one straight in the middle all the way to the down as well, thereby demarcating it into two different openings.
for the rope to go into it. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that before we start joining the other parts. And then meanwhile, I have also ironed the neckline for this. See, I've put a stay and I've ironed the neckline, and now the neckline is laying down flat. See, this is the front and this is the back piece, and so the dress is coming together. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew this, and then we'll start joining the down part to the top of the dress. Okay, so I have gone ahead to sew it. See, this is it. So I've created the two double channel here. So this is what we're trying to do. So the point is to create a double channel where the rope can pass through. Now I won't fix the rope now. I'll fix the rope after I've joined it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is start joining. So this front piece now, I am going to be attaching it to this front piece. So just the way you would normally attach the top of a dress, just go ahead and attach it, and be careful of the elasticity because the dress is quite elastic, so you have to match it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and join the front and the back together, and then I will attach the sleeve. So let me go ahead and join them and start attaching the sleeves. Okay, so while attaching the zip, make sure that you are sewing this part that has the zipper. When you want to attach the sleeve of this dress, make sure that this part that has the zipper, the zip is locked, so that you will not have to go and make the mistake of taking it out. Remember that this sleeve has a front and a back, so just go ahead and place the front part against the front, facing the front, and then just go ahead and sew from one end to the other, and this beautiful dress will be ready. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this, join the down part to it, and then join the sleeve, and then come back for us to finish up this dress. We're almost done.
So guys, I went ahead to finish up the dress, and so just had to join the sides, and the part that were way too stretchy, I had to use paper to keep it in place. This is like an old trick. I suppose you guys already know this. So for the part that is way too stretchy, I had to use the paper, but the other sides I didn't use paper, but the ones that were too stretchy, I had to use paper so it will stay in place and it will not jump ropes. Okay, I joined the sleeves and then went ahead and sewed the sides. So if you look at the front part of this dress now, you will see the channel we created, the bias channel we created, where we're going to be passing the rope. So I'm going to go ahead and bring out the rope now, so that we can pass the rope through to give us the ruched effect we are trying to get. So here is the rope. I've already passed it out using the loop turner. Now I'm going to be hooking a safety pin to it, and I'm just going to gently pass it through the first opening on the bias channel we created. I'm just going to gently pass it through like so. The way you pass through elastics into openings. Okay, so just pass it through gently to the end. Now that we've passed it out to the end, we can now pass it to the other end and bring it out to create a ruched effect. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass it through the other part gently as well, and here we have it. Okay, so the rope is way too long when I was done, so you can cut your own and reduce the length, or you can be tying it into a bow to create if you touch this part now, if you could feel these channels, you will feel the lump of the rope inside. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it inside out so that we'll see. So here is the inside out, and look at the front. This dress is looking so fine already. Okay, look at it, and you can see the channel we created in the front. Okay, this is really cute, so cute. Look at the channel we created. So please guys, if this video was of any help to you, please do not forget to give us a thumbs up, and subscribe if you have not subscribed, so that you'll be getting notification whenever I create beautiful videos like this, because I create videos like this every week. So if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back, and I hope you stick with us. And for those who are joining us for the first time, I hope you find reason to stay and stick around. I'll also remind you that if you want to finish off this dress You can also turn it inside out and take it to your weaving machine and weave it so that the sewing will stay stronger. That way it will not easily tear. Okay, thank you guys for staying to the end of the video. So let's see the finished look of this dress on my body.